It is the 11th of September, 1973. Not the September you're thinking of. This one is in Santiago, Chile. And on this morning, a democratically elected government is being overthrown by its own military. By nightfall, thousands of people will be rounded up, taken to stadiums, taken to detention centers, taken to places they will never return from. Among them is a folk singer named Victor Jara. He will not survive the week. But before he dies, he will write one last song. Victor Jara was born in 1932 in a small rural community outside Santiago. He grew up poor, the son of a peasant farmer and a folk singer mother who died young. It was from her that he inherited both his voice and his understanding of what music was for. Not decoration, not entertainment, but the language of people who had no other platform. By the late 1960s, Jara had become one of the most important voices in Chilean Nueva Cancion, a folk movement that used music to speak directly about poverty, inequality, and the lives of ordinary people. He was a theatre director, a university lecturer, a husband, a father, and he was a committed supporter of Salvador Allende, the socialist president whose democratic election in 1970 had made Chile an experiment the world was watching. The powerful were watching too, and they did not like what they saw. On the morning of September 11th, General Augusto Pinochet launched his coup. The presidential palace was bombed. Allende died inside it. And within hours, the military had begun rounding up anyone considered a threat to the new order. Artists, intellectuals, activists, musicians. Victor Jara was taken to the Chile Stadium in Santiago, along with thousands of others. What happened inside that stadium in the days that followed belongs to the darkest chapter of Chilean history. Prisoners were tortured, executed, disappeared. The guards recognized Jara. They knew exactly who he was, and so they did something specific to him. They broke his hands. Then they taunted him. "Play guitar now," they said. "Sing now." He did. With broken hands, in a stadium full of terrified prisoners, Victor Jara sang. And then he wrote. On scraps of paper, smuggled out by fellow prisoners who survived, Jara composed what would become his final poem, his final song. It was called Estadio Chile, Stadium Chile.
Las cuerdas recuerdan lo que los dedos sabían.
In it, he described what he saw around him, the fear, the solidarity, the absurdity of a military that needed to destroy music to feel safe. How hard it is to sing, he wrote, when I must sing of horror. Victor Jara was killed on the 16th of September, 1973. He was 40 years old. His body was found on the streets of Santiago, bearing the marks of torture. He had been shot 44 times. The military that killed him understood something important. They understood that a song in the right voice at the right moment is not background noise. It is a political act. It is a declaration. It is a form of power that cannot be answered with argument, only with violence. And the fact that they chose violence tells you everything about who was really afraid of whom. Victor Jara's music was banned in Chile for years after his death. His name could not be spoken publicly. His records were destroyed. And yet, his songs spread across the world, carried by exiles, by solidarity movements, by anyone who heard them and understood what they meant. Bruce Springsteen performed his songs. Peter Gabriel dedicated an album to his memory. Amnesty International adopted his cause. The man they silenced became one of the most heard voices of the 20th century. In 2009, 36 years after his death, Victor Jara's case was finally brought to court. In 2023, a retired Chilean army officer was convicted of his murder. Justice, delayed by half a century, but it came. There is a particular kind of courage in singing when singing is dangerous. Most of us will never be tested that way. We will never stand in a stadium with broken hands and choose to use our voice anyway. But Victor Jara did. And in doing so, he answered a question that every artist quietly carries. What is my work actually worth? What would I risk for it? What does it mean when the thing I make makes someone powerful enough to want to destroy me? The song remained. It always remains. This is the song behind the story, where music isn't the background, it's the point.